the one and only Dog Show. Your hosts, Troop Brinson and Smooch Moncrief.
Just two dudes talking Georgia football.
Welcome, dog fans, to the one and only Dog Show with Troop and Smooch and special guest, Coach Hayes.
Coach
Hayes, 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 Hayes,
Coach
Hayes. Good to see you, gentlemen, tonight. And we have not spoken, at least on air.
We've spoken.
Season came to it. We have been speaking, yes, but and since the Georgia season came to an end against Notre Dame, and even since then, Notre Dame's moved on against Penn State. So the football season is moving forward. But gentlemen, glad to have you in tonight. And just to preface the show before we say hello to everybody, this is a 3-part series that we're starting tonight that's called Bobo's Fault. And we're trying to decide for ourselves and for you fans who've asked us over and over, is this an offensive philosophy, offensive coordinator, is it an issue with how we run our offense? Mm-hmm. And do we need to change? So we're going to look at the pros and the cons of all that, then form our own conclusions. You guys can help us do that as well. Tonight we're going to record one part of that or talk about one part of that. But first of all, good to see you, Smooch. Good to see you, Coach.
Hey, it's great to be here. Great to see Coach again. Yeah, it's been a rough, when you're dealing with a loss, the way we lost that game, it's tough, but still great to be a dog. On the worst day, it's better than being anything else. So, but where I want to get tonight, Troop, as we kind of move through, I just want to get past this tribalism where either you hate Bobo and you're my friend or, and that's it. There's no middle ground, There's no one single thing that ruined that game. I hope we get there and give you guys some sort of understanding. We're not going to pull any punches with any coaches or any sort of coordinators, but we're also not just going to be intellectually lazy and throw it all in one place and just say, done, wipe our hands of it, fire this guy, and everything will be great. Because that hasn't been the case in the past, Troop Brinson.
Yeah, we'll get to that, what you just said, in the conclusion as we kind of look at both these first two episodes of this series and then get to what we conclude based on what we've seen. And Coach is going to help us get there. What's up, Coach?
Gentlemen, it's always great to be on the show with you. Obviously, as you were talking about with the season, it's hard to leave, it's sort of bittersweet to have that taste in your mouth of a loss at the end of the season. We haven't really felt that way since 2018 when we lost to Texas in the Sugar Bowl that year. And we've always either ended with a nice win in the bowl game or national championships and things like that. So it's definitely something that's different this year. But, as always, we want to have some kind of closure to how the season has ended. And I think that's what we're going to see and what we're about to give you guys and give just some explanations going forward.
Exactly. We don't know in the next few days or next couple of weeks going forward what decisions Kirby Smart's going to make about his staff. I really feel very confident that he's going to go over this and he's going to do what's best for the team and the program, and that's really where we're going to attack this, whether it's this is where the direction we want to go. I believe in Coach Bobo. I believe in where this is progressing and how he's leading these men. Or if it's like, this is not working and you need to take a step back and we need to replace you. So those thoughts are going on, I guarantee you, in Buttsmere and within Kirby Smart's head. And he's got friendships, and a lot of folks I see so many times on social media or just in the people I talk to, he's just his best friend. He's never going to fire this guy. I'm like, he's done it before. He will.
He's done it before.
If he thinks it's the right thing to do, Kirby Smart will do the right thing for his program because the buck stops in Coach Smart's office. And so I trust that. We could spend a lot of time. There's so much been going on, folks. We would like to talk to you about Carson Beck going to Miami for $4.5 million, not going to the NFL.
By the way, I would have gone to Miami for half that.
I would have too. I'd be gone. I love Georgia. I'm like, see ya. Because do you know that Will Levis is making $950,000 in the NFL right now as a round 2 pick?
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Massive pay cut.
And
Carson wasn't going in as no round 2 pick either.
He just made $4 million at Georgia, and he's going to be offered over $4 million at Miami. Yeah, I'm taking that too. But we could talk about that. We could talk about Damon Wilson hitting the portal when we don't really make sense of that, or the good things. with Dylan Bell coming back, ETN coming back, Dalen Everett just
there you go.
Back.
Come on,
Kristen Miller coming back.
Yeah, come on.
Cash Jones coming back. Those are some great things that ties this team together, and Georgia always needs that, and I'm glad to see that. But tonight, the title is Bobo's fault, and we're going to talk about that. And I don't know which side you folks fall on, and it's okay if you fall on either of them. It feels like, just from my own dealings, that it's 90% of Georgia fans feel like Bobo is terrible, and Bobo has caused Georgia immense pain and suffering, and the offense has not anywhere. I mean, it has not had a chance to succeed just because of Bobo. Right. And maybe that's right, maybe it's wrong. We're going to give you some evidence on both sides of that equation. The first side tonight is going to be actually in terms of what has gone right and what the offensive coordinator and the play calling, what position they're putting Georgia in to ultimately to score points, move the ball. And so we're going to look at that. Coach is going to lead us here. He's going to be the guy who takes us right down this path. And then me and Smooch are going to talk back and forth. But that's where we are right now. We're going to talk about is Bobo's fault or not. And tonight, for the first episodes, is part of 3, we're going to talk about, maybe he's doing some good things.
Well, let's preface this, though. When you look at when you're trying to figure out a way to gain and wrap your brain around what we witnessed this year, you want to have some kind of person to be the scapegoat, as you mentioned. And obviously, it's very easy to put that in our OC. It's obviously easy to put that in our offensive line coach. I think what I see from any perspective, I really want to see why in the world we had such slow starts all year long. Why in the world were we dealing with such slow starts out of the gate? Because it comes down to it. You can scheme X's and O's all day long on the dry erase board, but you got to have the Jimmy and Joes go out and execute it. And that's something that really has to fall back on these kids now, because it's becoming very slowly a business. And these guys are beginning to earn a lot of money doing this. So to honestly tell you the truth, I know as much as I've never really wanted to bash a player, some of these players that are demanding these kind of deals and these demands through new NIL year and what they're dealing with now need to start performing. If they really want to, if they really want that money, we're going to have to make you grow up very quickly and make you realize that if you're demanding this and we're looking at some type of performance out of you, that you've got to start executing. So what I want to show you out of the start process is to help you understand with Coach Bobo, whether you feel wrongly towards him and want to see him gone yesterday, or whether you want to see him have an opportunity to coach with players that are coming from not only the transfers that we've got in Noah Thomas and the Branch brothers, Zachariah, to all the people coming back, to the new recruits that we've got coming in, with a running back room now with Trevor Etienne coming back. I really think it's going to be a very solid, skilled group of people. Yes. But obviously the offensive line is what we've got to talk about, and we've also got to talk about our quarterback situation. But with all that aside, what I want to do is take you into some plays here, and we're going to look at how we schemed in the game against Notre Dame and why I think some of the play calling that Coach Bobo did was fairly efficient. All right. The one thing that I want to show you here is that as time went on in the game, when you're an offensive coordinator, you are looking to build plays off of one another. So the first thing that we're looking at here is what I call a twins left look. I call this deuces left. So you got 2 receivers up top of your screen, and you've got a pro set to the bottom of the screen. Pro meaning that there's a tight end, eligible receiver that can leave from the line of scrimmage, and you have somebody off the line of scrimmage, which is Arian Smith, number 11. We're in gun. And in this case, what happens by moving Arian down tighter to the tight end is we realized that with this formation, we could widen our defensive front, because as you know, Notre Dame run blitzed us a lot. But when we got into this formation, we seemed to not trigger any kind of catch call, any kind of pre-snap check with me. They were in a standard 4-3 cover 1, which is what they're in right now, with a rover and a nickel in the game right now. He's the one to the right of number 15 that's kind of a little bit deeper than your linebackers. Right. So what basically we're doing here is we're going to run it down here to Arian and Delp's side. And I want you to watch as you put it into play here that Arian becomes that extra blocker to go out and block that rover. Now we've got the edge set. Now, if you run it just a little bit further, you will notice off of this, as we begin to pause it, you want to put your running back on an island with a corner. This is an ideal play. Now, you say, well, this is just a typical run play. But yes, this is a play that sets up efficiently a run game scheme that you want to see the rest of the ball game. You want to be able to establish the line of scrimmage. You want to bully ball those Notre Dame Irish. And I know that if you really look at the end result from all this, you didn't get that. You saw them bullying us a little bit more, but it took us a while to figure out where we needed to attack them at. So if you back it up one just real quick, you can see off the top up here, you've got the twins and Dominic Lovett and Dylan Bell. So you remember that when we run the next play here. But this is to set up a good run scheme game where we get a positive gain here of about 6 to 7 yards. I'll take that all day long.
But also look at where, if you can, I don't know if you can pull that right back up. Look at where the line of scrimmage is, and look at where the offensive line ends up as they move forward.
Exactly.
So they have, they do
there's
a good
even
job
there's even a cut
there.
Right there, you see where everybody's downfield.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's right what there. You want to see. Yeah, that right there is a beautiful pause spot. And when I'm watching the line of scrimmage play, I'm always looking for where the hats are after impact. And you can see right there, we've got a lot of red hats on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Exactly. And that's because they're not run blitzing. They're not X-stunning. We've got them in a formation that they're not triggering, which is what I call a trigger. Sometimes certain formations will make, as a defensive coordinator, if I got a certain formation, we practice it all week. They get in this formation, we're triggering to this run response to it. And they didn't have anything for this deuces set. So let's go to the next play.
Big question, or it's not even a question, and I feel like in a lot of Georgia fans' minds of is Bobo, is he the right guy to lead Georgia's offense? And it's just a nuanced, I feel like very nuanced conversation. And these are some plays that there are lots of plays. We're just focusing on a few of them that give you some idea of where his mind is and the plays he calls and how the offense reacts to that.
So this is same formation again, Coach, right?
Correct. You have the same formation here, but what we're going to do out of this one is we're actually going to throw. Before you put it into action, as an offensive coordinator, you're always looking that if I get you in a formation that I really like the way you line up to me in, I want to be able to like right now, I want to think to myself, I can run zone out of this, I can run duo out of this, I can run toss out of this, and of course I can play action out of this like an RPO, which is what you're going to see. The only thing they do different right here is they bingo Arian Smith, which means it's just motion across. He's coming back across. And you'll notice they've given us the same defensive alignment. That guy that's lined up on the 30-yard line on our near side of the screen is the same guy that Arian went and blocked last time. Now, I want you to watch this, though. Execution is a little bit more scary because Arian blocks this guy when it's a run, but it's pass pro. So he misses him a little bit and doesn't do a good job and lets him get across his face. Now, you'll notice up top, those two guys up top did the same thing the last play. Same thing, rabbit, which is just quick screen right without linemen. So what we're going to do off of this, instead of running the ball like we did last time, see, you got this guy coming down thinking, okay, we ran it last time out of this. Now we're going to run play action off of this, showing duo action, and now we're going to throw it to the slant route. Dylan Bell coming off the block look right there, which is great RPO action and a great catch. Even though he didn't have a very good game, he was targeted 13 times and only accumulated 33 yards of receiving yards. So, he didn't have the best game ever, but this was a good catch. And sequentially, something set up off of another formation identical to it, where you're keeping Notre Dame at bay on their heels, no X stunts, no blitz, no run blitz, and you're able to get the ball off. The only thing is you have a negative there on Arian Smith's ability to block off the edge, because obviously he almost gets two gunner, and that's the reason why you probably see the sailed throw, but a great catch by Dylan Bell there. But that's what you want to do as an offensive coordinator. You're constantly thinking 2 plays ahead, so that if this plays works, Coach Hartley, who charts his plays right beside him, I know you've seen plenty of times Coach Bobo up in the box, and Coach Hartley sitting right beside him saying, hey, we hit them hard last time on that. Let's go to that rabbit screen and let's throw RPO off of that. And sure enough, it's called, it's executed, and you have a really good play call right here from your guys, especially from a group of receivers that has not led us to be very comfortable all year long, and a good positive play off the same formation, keeping them at bay.
So why is Frazier not chipping right here out of the backfield?
He should be. As he comes down, he should be actually play action off of that. It's not his responsibility to chip.
Right.
That's Arian's guy only, is to seal that block.
Okay.
And honestly, what should have happened, because Frazier should be checking down and actually coming off the backside to be a check down off of this if the rabbit up top is taken. But because he comes down off the edge, it's just like I said, when you have somebody who has the dry erase marker last, they drew this up. They wasn't anticipating a blitz from your Sam Backer coming off the edge and
Right.
getting by Arian Smith. Arian is just there as a pass pro protector to fit right off the tackles or the tight end's hip. But he gets pressure. Unfortunately, it sets up everything where Nate Frazier is not supposed to be blocking him. That's completely Arian Smith.
Yeah, what I like about this play is there's about 3 missed assignments altogether on it. Yet you're still talking a first down. So the play obviously is one of the things I noticed, a repeated theme so much that's so frustrating sometimes. If one person misses an assignment, the whole play falls apart. You don't see that here.
No, you don't. And a lot of times, and as Troop was talking pre-show with us, you have those situations where one or two guys, like if you pause again right as he's about to throw the football on this one. When you're drawing this up, think about it. If the Sam Backer's not coming off the edge, Arian is just sitting there with Delp blocking 56. And then Frazier comes off of that and is out here in the flats ready for a check down if the slant's not open. But because they had run it so well, and because we run so much fast screen off of this up top to Dominic Lovett, that's where they're thinking it's going. It's a beautiful play design, and it's a good and well-executed play. One person messes it up, and unfortunately that cost, a high throw, but still a good catch and a positive play. But yeah, things like that happen all the time in games. You'll have one or two. I can't tell you how many times I would be going, no. Hey, good play, because you have those situations happen.
And
so,
you also see the discipline of the Notre Dame defense. That has targeting written all over it where Dylan Bell catches that ball. And
Xavier Watts is a hell of a safety, and
Yeah.
I have to give him props. He does a really good job, and he's a steady player. No
As
doubt.
long as he doesn't lose a shoe and call
Yeah.
injury time.
Yeah, but I blame his coaches on that. That
they
was
told him
smart
to do
of them. They told him to go down. I
Works
agree.
out. I watch Beck, and I guess the greater amount of plays we've seen over the past couple years with Bobo being the OC is with Carson Beck. And Carson Beck, despite whatever issue you have with him and the interception issue during this year and some of the leadership problems people have, he was able to, I felt like, diagnose the defense and check out and probably put Georgia in some pretty good plays, pretty good positions. I don't know if we can judge that just yet on Gunnar Stockton. We will have ample time to do that. But I just like plays where OC puts you in a position to succeed. And so he's going to give you some options where and never being in that kind of a huddle and talking those questions. But the bigger question, one of the bigger questions I think with an offense is your quarterback, who is your leader, your general back there. He's going to have to put you in position. He's going to have to read the defense sometimes and take you out of a play that's going to be got no shot. And do you feel like looking at this that Bobo's given him the opportunity yet, or given this offense an opportunity to do that?
That's a good question. And believe it or not, the one play we've got left really helps show us that. But, that's the thing I feel like we were handicapped a little bit with Gunnar, is that you hear Kirby say all the time in press conferences back when Jake Fromm was your quarterback, was how he would get us into a good play. Something that Gunner's got to get better at. When I look at a play like this right here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, now all of a sudden, because that's been working for you in pro, because right now in this formation, it's hard to see because, of course, you're behind the quarterback now, so you don't see the receiver. So just to give you some insight to this one, is you got two receivers out to the left past Monroe Freeling, who is number 57, and you have one receiver out to the right off the screen. So you got three receivers. There's that tight end we were talking about with his hand down on the ground, the only one there on the right. And so we're in that pro set again to run a play that a lot of people give so much, for lack of better words, hell to Coach Bobo for running it up the backside and right up the middle. Even my wife, who knows nothing about the game of football, will say, why do they keep running it up the middle? Well, because
Yeah, we
to
get
me,
that here too.
of course, the inside zone, and of course, stretch and outside zone are other things and complements off of that. But if the inside zone is blocked correctly, it's undefendable. It's easy to block, but it's also a masterpiece when it's blocked correctly. And what they noticed is that when we get in pro, we got a formation from their defense that we really like. First off, you'll notice you've got linebackers at linebacker depth. You've got they've treated this to the tight end side, so your strength and your Sam Backers number 8 that you see to the right side, where our tight end is at, and you're going to see really almost like poetry of watching your guard and tackle, the guy snapping the football, Jared Wilson, and 53 Dylan Fairchild working left, and they're going to be moving up to the play side linebacker. The backside guard and tackler are going to be doing the same thing. And here you have the inside zone concept where everything for the most part is blocked very well. Now, Kaiser, who's on number 73 right now, does a really good job to bounce over the top of this, obviously, to get to the play. But you want to see that's inside zone where, a lot of times you hear them talking about all the time, running it up the backside. That's a 7-yard gain, 8-yard gain running the inside zone because you have a defensive end that is not down a gap over 73. You see the gentleman there, the defensive end that's got the hair out of the back of the helmet. He had a really good game against us. But he was on our tackles a lot rushing. When we were running the football or passing with a tight end in the formation, that widened his position, that allowed that gap to be not condensed down. And when it wasn't condensed down, that allowed us to be a little bit more efficient to get gap integrity taken care of from the zone. So give me 7 or 8 yards on a good block. And this wasn't even necessarily blocked perfectly because Xavier Truss doesn't get up to the backside backer quick enough. He stays on Urosic's guy too long, allows Kaiser to get over the top to make the tackle. But that's football. That's the beauty of this play. That's the chess match of offense playing defense. So when you talk about, all Bobo does is run it up the middle. Why does he keep doing that? If it's blocked correctly, it's a hell of a play. And it's something I will take all day long when it's run effectively.
So basically, if Truss gets his hat on the other side of this guy here, you're looking at another 12, 13 yards.
Yeah, he's one-on-one with that safety you see coming downhill right now at 12, 15 yards. I mean, he's one-on-one. If Truss gets his butt to the Allstate logo and turns and wraps him to turn him out to the right, and his butt's on the left side of that guy, then ETN's one-on-one with that safety because he's going to cut off of that. I would, if his eyesight's correctly. Yeah. He's going to put his left foot in the ground right there and get north and south, and now he's one-on-one with Xavier Watts. So, don't sit there and tell me that the zone can't be run right, and don't tell me that the inside zone is a poor play. I see so many people who criticize the inside zone, and I really do think if you've got the right formation and you've got your defense the way you want, because I like this. This is 7 in the box with the quarterback reading number 8 off the backside, because I want you to see this too. If you run the zone and pause it right there about the mesh point, right when he's about to get the ball, watch where Gunner's looking. Okay, just a little bit further.
All right.
Right there. See how Gunner's watching number 8? If 8 is coming across the face to scream towards that running back, all right, and get that running back, now Gunner gets to pull off of that. And that's the beauty of having a quarterback who has legs, to be able to pull off of that, and now he's one-on-one with nobody, because outside of that is a Z with a corner, and all he's doing is running him off, and now you've got an explosive play with your quarterback. But number 8, being a disciplined kid, and he's doing his job, sets up and faces up Gunner to make him give it and hand it off. But being blocked about 95% efficiently up front, we got a very nice productive play. And I think this was a play where it was 3rd and 7, and we converted it. We converted it right here.
And so this is a play. This is a play that is uniquely Gunner Stockton that was run, because we do not have 8 here holding up, facing up Gunner if Carson's making that play, right? He just crashes down on the running back.
He crashes down the running back, and if Carson pulls it, I would be surprised, to tell you the honest truth, even though he should. But that's the difference of zone being offset and being in pistol. So, another good positive play offensively and being blocked correctly up front for the most part. You have a, execution by 73, Xavier Truss there at right tackle, but still a good enough play to give us, that 7 or 8 yard gain that we want, especially when it's a 3rd down situation and we need to convert getting into plus territory towards the red zone.
Love it.
Love it. And Smooch, all of us really, but Smooch, at our age, we have been able to witness athletic programs, franchises, ball teams build to something and get there. And we understand that a lot of times it's when you get to that pinnacle, when you win a couple of national championships, people get a lot more nitpicky. And people get a lot more cynical and skeptical, and they want to pull apart things that, if you've been a ball player in your life, you understand sometimes it's just sports. Sometimes it's just sports. It's not perfection. It's competition.
Yeah.
And sometimes you win in spite of imperfection, and you should, because how often is there perfection?
Right.
and people always, human nature always wants to put their finger on or have a something to blame, somebody to blame. Why? I want to know why. And it's easy. Some of those things, regardless, Bobo's got a history. Bobo was like the biggest thing I remember about Bobo when he coached earlier under Rick was he was coaching for Todd Gurley, and everybody, whether they remember exactly why they dislike him or not, it's because it was against South Carolina, I think, and they had a 1st and goal, and they didn't run Gurley not one time to score a touchdown and win that game. And maybe Bobo outthought himself. He maybe had something he was looking at, something. Never know what they're looking at. You don't, folks. You don't. And he didn't run Gurley one time. He was like, just give the ball, just run the ball, give it to Gurley. And we had a really bad taste in our mouth based on, what are you doing? Why not? Why are you not able to see what we see as fans? Because we know everything.
Yeah, well, like all Georgia legends, that one grew and took legs of its own. The whole Todd Gurley thing. It's like, run Lindsey, run was never said, right? It was run Lindsey, and nobody says run Lindsey, run. That was, those words were never uttered. But the legend grew and became something it wasn't. And Bobo didn't call Gurley's number 3 times in a goal line situation. That's it. But that grew into an ineptness that can't be cured.
It's right. You're right. It grew into an ineptness, a feeling that this guy never quite. I mean, despite under Aaron Murray, Georgia's offense was very good, very good. Yeah. Aaron Murray, Gurley, all those guys, and he had the Jimmies and the Joes in terms of skill players. Did Mike Bobo, and had some really, really historic offenses for Georgia. But there was a couple plays that they didn't sit right in Georgia's fans' mind. And then when he came back to be an analyst under Monken, and then Monken left, they're like, please, no Mike Bobo. He's just old school. He's an old head. He's not gonna have any kind of thought that's gonna progress us or move us forward or be on the forefront of offensive thinking. And then, last year, Georgia had scored over 40 points a game, and their offense was pretty stinking good. And they only lost one game by 3 points at the end of the season. Just a one loss, 13-1 team, I think it was. And then this year, not so good. But it's never as easy as we want it to be.
No.
As fans, we always have questions about why did you do this and why did you do that? We'll never completely understand, even close to understand what goes into that, because there's, like I said, nuance.
Yeah,
but there's players that smooch that have to also. You can have the perfect plan, and you see some of these plays that coaches put up there, executed well, and even when they weren't executed perfectly, there was avenues for success within that play. And we're obviously going to talk about the negative aspects of Coach Bobo in the offense and where he needs to be, kicked to the curb. But right now, we're showing you some things, Smooch, that it's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's not that low hanging a fruit. You can just snatch it and say this is the answer.
Well, if you remember Jerry Glanville coaching for the Falcons, that's what happens when you coach with emotion without rational thought. That type of disaster, okay? It's just all emotion. And you cannot approach a problem like this emotionally. We all feel the frustration. You all feel it. And let me tell you something about your emotions, Georgia fans. I'm going to see if I can go back and find them for this show, Troop. But I can remember Todd Monken's first year as OC in Athens. I can remember Twitter posts that would tell the Cleveland Browns they can have him back. I can remember those posts.
There's your games, yes.
Yeah, and now he's a legend. He can't do anything wrong. He's the best we've ever had. But there's always that notion, Coach.
Yes. You look back at Carson's first year, when you look at Mike Bobo taking over for the offense, I mean, he did have two guys named Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers to throw to, and that completely takes a huge deficit off of your offensive production going into this year. It doesn't matter. I could draw up of the 70-plus plays that I broke down against Notre Dame, I could draw up a sample size of 20-plus plays of his productivity and his positivity of what he does and how he tries to execute his offensive play calling, and you're still going to have people that hate it. They just don't understand the fact of the stability, but also too what it takes to be an offensive play caller, especially for a branded team as Georgia is. I think everybody's just they're exhausted with him mentally from a fandom standpoint, and unfortunately, there's a small window or a time frame for them to, because a lot of them want to see something like I said happen yesterday, and there's nothing you can do about that other than the fact of how is he responding with his kids? How are the kids out there responding to his coaching? Do they like his ability to coach? There's so many things that go into. I remember, just a quick blurb here, but I remember when we went from running basic wing T plays, we went into the spread when the spread was becoming a big deal. And I remember we had a big load of seniors coming in that year, and we were talking about going to the spread system. We'd gone over the summer and done some work on it and learn the system. And when we came back with all these new things to talk about, you would have thought the kids had toys at Christmas, talking to them about what we were going to be doing offensively with that. And when you got kids that are positively motivated, who are excited and build a trust system in what you're doing, it's amazing how the execution levels will rise with that too. So, there's a lot of things that go into play with this. But as always, I'm not going to sit here and discount what Coach Smart's trying to do, because he obviously wants to win ball games very much as I do and more. And obviously he's riding on that. That's what he's paid to do. And I know he's going to put the right people in the right places. And whether Coach Bobo's back next year or whether he's not, the decision is Coach Smart's, and I'm willing to accept it one way or the other.
So Bobo's fault? I don't think we're quite so sure. It's not quite that black and white. I don't know.
Nope.
Based on what we're looking at right now, maybe not so much all on Mike Bobo, but we'll put a pin in this, and we'll be back for the next episode of this series to tell you maybe why it could be Mike Bobo's fault. And be sure to join us with all three of us again here, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the issues we have had with the offensive coordinator, and maybe we're not so sure whose fault it is.
Love it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
This is the Dog Show with Troop and Smooch.
It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show.